Hey traders, TG Watkins here. It is April 30th, last day of the week. Man, did you guys see today's action? This was pretty exciting. We got the dip that we were looking for. It got bought up hard, and we had a couple big earnings that came out, and the market is jumping up on them. So let's dive into this. Let me show you what happened, how we're playing this, and how you guys can actually use this going forward, okay? So let's dive in. All right, first, remember, hit that like and subscribe button if you guys are enjoying this. And this morning, there was weak economic data that came out. GDP, basically. It's showing that things are slowing down, collapsing, recession, stuff like that. Now, in this case, we already think that the low of the market has been put in. We've been talking about this in the Moxie room for a few weeks, and we have been trading around this market like crazy and nailing it. Okay, we've been all over this market, and even this dip. I was expecting this dip to happen, although I did take off my hedges. I'm going to show you guys what that looked like. And funny enough, because the dip got bought back up, unless we exited that hedge first thing this morning, it actually didn't work. So that's okay. I'll take that, because what that meant is the rest of my portfolio was doing pretty great because, well, the market came right back. So we kind of got everything we wanted, and the hedge wouldn't have worked out unless we were very quick this morning. So pretty interesting how that happened. And the way that I think that the bad news is good news is that I think that this shows that perhaps the Fed is going to be that much closer to easing, to cutting rates, to something like that. I know Jerome Powell has taken a pretty hawkish stance and saying, look, we're not going to jump in, we're not going to save the market, any of that kind of stuff. And he still very well might. I know he's kind of got an issue with Trump, and so even though they are separate, they still have personalities, and I think he might be a little bit slow to respond if that's really what happens. So we'll have to see, but the market was very okay with this economic data. Yes, it was a bit of a shock, and that's what caused the market to come down. But look here. This is pretty incredible. Let me move this out of the way. If you guys zoom in here, you can see that I have basic two trend lines, but really one of them was the main one. I think I can actually get rid of this one. And look what it did. The market perfectly went down to that trend line. Pretty impressive, isn't it? So that trend line has been there for a few weeks at this point. We not only got over the trend line, we came back tested the trend line, and we ended higher. That is textbook. Okay, so I want to make sure you guys know this kind of stuff. This is what we talk about in the Moxie room, simplertrading.com/Moxie, and this is absolutely incredible for what we've been seeing. So I was expecting to pull back. I figured it was going to happen basically yesterday or today, which is why we put on the hedge. So let me show you what that actually looked like in through here. This was, if you guys want to see, this was from the 28th, so 2 days ago at the close, because I am on the West Coast. And this was when the market bounced off of the hourly 21. We have lots of long positions on, so of course I wanted the market to go higher, but I said, hey, if the market pulls back in the next 2 days, which would be today, we have some downside protection with the call credit spread. Of course, the market looks strong. I would still prefer the SPX test the hourly 50 again before going to the 5,700 area. And you can see right here that that is exactly what we got. So we got right there, pull back to the hourly 50. We got to pull back to the trend line, and now we are up here. So I believe that does open the door to at least 5,700, which is right here. I figure that's going to be right in the meat of the March range. And I'm actually starting to think that we might be going higher. I don't want to say anything too far yet, but this market's still looking pretty strong. And the fact that we're already up at almost 5,600, I think we're going to be 5,600 tomorrow based on the earnings that have happened. I think we could see 5,700. And then if Jerome Powell comes out on Wednesday, because that's FOMC, I think my guess is if he says something good, or even Trump says something good about tariffs or interest rates, I could see us going up to, I don't know, at least 5,800, which would be the top of this range, 5,800, and maybe we go a little bit further. There is technically, there's a measured move that takes us to 6,000. Again, I'm going to be a little bit conservative, and I'm not going to say we're going to hit 6,000 yet. It does measure to there, but we'll just have to see. I think a lot of things have to kind of line up for that to happen, but I think that the ground is set for that possibility to happen. So bad news is good news. Buy the dip. And if we come over here and take a look, you can see, let's see, Meta had earnings. If we come over here, let's turn on the overnight so we can see what is happening. And yes, look at that. Nice move right here to the upside. Let's get the cursor. There you go. So it's popping up, breaking out. It's moving up exactly how we needed it. And you can see this too. This is one of my textbook patterns that we do use in the Moxie room. 50 250 maneuver right there. It perfectly held, and look at that, we are now up higher. So everything is fantastic. This is really working out very well. And if you look at Microsoft, this is a really big move for Microsoft. So I'll have to read some articles and see, what everybody was talking about and the reason why it's up so high. But you can see up here, way up here, and that's a big move for Microsoft. But again, what did it do? It pulled back into the hourly 50 today based on that econ news, the market, and all that kind of stuff. That's exactly what we were looking for. And then what we do is we trade FNGA. And actually, let me get this for you, because we took another trade just before the end of the market. So if I show you guys this and come over here, you can see we did take a trade right here. So this is today, 12:42, just before the market closed. I added to FNGA because I said in case earnings report get the market higher, I wanted some more exposure. But if the reaction is down, I think it could be like today where it's a buyable dip. So we added to this just in case the market went up, and if it went down, I'd be fine with that too. And you can see here that FNGA is now up a little bit higher. I think it's maybe where to end from we went to 387 right here to where it is now. Hey, that's almost 8% just overnight on this thing. And you can see we had a really nice, basically a bull flag right into the hourly 50. You can see that little dip that we had this morning. It got bought back up. Everything is looking good. In fact, gosh, look at this. Yeah, huge. Now, maybe you could argue that maybe this is a little bit of month end, but look at all that volume that came in to FNGA today. So yeah, again, might be month end, but also we had a couple of earnings that were after the close. And so I think there was a lot of repositioning, and it was a buy the dip situation. And then the other position that we have is Hood. And this one, same kind of deal. And you can see it's up a bit. It had a really big move in the last 5 minutes of the market. It just went straight up on volume. So I think same thing. Either the word got out, don't be short, or they were trying to position themselves and get long. We got into this thing right here. There was a pullback this morning. We were already kind of fully loaded on this thing, and you could see up here, and we're just a tick higher. But you can see in the overnight, the reaction is good. I think it looks fine. Overall, I'm happy with what's happening with this market. Palantir continues to move up. In fact, NVIDIA continues to move up. You can see it's up and stronger, probably in sympathy for Microsoft and any of that kind of stuff. But you can see it's up here 112, so it's going to open up here. We have a lot of positions that are going to be benefiting from these kind of moves. We've loaded up on a lot of stuff. So I hope you guys are taking care of this. In fact, I had one of a friend that I have who's still kind of new to trading. I said, here's the dip. That was exactly what I was waiting for. He's like, wait, but everything's still red. And I said, yeah, that's okay. The fact is that they got bought back up. Because if you look even at NVIDIA, when he says, but things are still red, he's just looking at his, you could look at the heat map or something like that, or from where things were, and you see where we closed yesterday. We gapped down and we closed lower. We actually closed lower than yesterday. So what he's looking at is like, what are you talking about? It's a down day. What? Then this is where one of those things where sometimes just looking at numbers or looking at the performance of the day or something doesn't tell you what really happened underneath the surface. You have to look at the charts. And if you look at this is another one of those perfect patterns that I talk about in the Moxie room. And you can see that we pull back into the hourly 50. The Moxie indicator is very high, very far above zero, lots of energy. And you can see that it perfectly went down into it, and look at that, got bought back up all day. And now you can see we're higher. And what's going to happen is, that the trading friend that I have, he looks at this and he's like, I don't understand it. It's been making lower highs and all that. And he's going to look at this tomorrow, and it's going to be gapping up here, and now he's going to be too late. Okay. So these are some of the things that we talk about. Like you need to kind of watch these things. I love to be an end of day trader. We put on another trade at the end of today with FNGA. We're already loaded with Tesla and SOXL and Hood and Reddit and BitX and all these names that are doing pretty well. And I think this market is going to go higher. In fact, I think it could be going much higher. I have a lot of things that are looking like they could go definitely over the daily 50s and maybe a little bit further. So we shall see. It's going to be pretty exciting over the next few weeks, because here's the other thing. If you look at the calendar, tomorrow, Thursday, when you guys are going to be seeing this, is going to be the first of the month. Great. But we look at the other dates. We have the 7th, which is next Wednesday when FOMC is. So Jerome Powell is going to speak, and they're going to come out with interest rate stuff. I don't expect them to cut anything on this meeting. I'm going to see what they say, how they're going to guide the market. And the May options expire on the 16th, and we have a lot of those. So what I'm looking at is I want to see the market continue to move up, and it has basically 2 weeks to do so. And I think that it can do that because we have Jerome Powell coming out on the 7th. And between him and Trump, I feel like there's going to be some good news that's going to help juice the market. Look at this thing. It keeps going up in the after hours. Okay, so things are good. Things are moving. I'm happy with it. The market's going to be opening with a gap up on tomorrow, which is Thursday. And then we have Apple. Let's see, Apple, if I can spell it right. We have Apple and Amazon tomorrow. And you can see Apple's reacting a little bit, probably staying contained because it doesn't want to get carried away. It wants to wait for its own earnings. But if you look at Amazon, Amazon's like, okay, yeah, I get it. We're going up, and you can see here, it's up here to 190. So right up there, it's going to be right there. Doing pretty well, doing just fine. And just like the other stocks I showed you, look what it did. It pulled right back into the hourly 50. This is perfect. This is literally textbook stuff that I teach in the Moxie room. So come on over to simplertrading.com/Moxie. That's where you guys can figure out where we are. I just did a 3-part class. It should be up and available for sale this week. So go look for that if you guys are interested. We're talking about all these things, including the leveraged ETFs and how they help me trade. And also the fact that a lot of these big stocks, they're single stock leverage ETFs, and there's a lot of them now. And it's been pretty exciting watching them and taking advantage of them. So we are trading a leveraged Robinhood. So that should be fun. Hopefully we have a nice up move in the morning. All right, guys. So thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you at the next one. Take care. Hey, TG here with Simpler Trading. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like or comment below. Also, make sure to subscribe and click that notification bell so you can stay up to date with my market analysis. Or you can join my free newsletter with the link in the description. Good trading, and I'll see you at the next video.